I'm going to stay as co tonight, so I'll go ahead and let you take the lead. Since it's been a little while since I've done one of these.
Hello, everybody. This is Napa Fan here, aka Alexander Graham, and we are back here at the Talladega Super Speedway for the RTG Talladega Challenge. This is the second race of the chase, and it is definitely going to be a unique race because we are going to be eliminating two drivers from championship contention. Joined alongside Matthew Rodriguez for the call here tonight. Grant Wesley, Tim Nofsker, they're good to go for the next round because Wesley gained a lot of points last week, finishing second, and Nofsker won the race. But for these other drivers, what are they going to have to do to avoid elimination here tonight at Talladega?
Really just got to keep the nose clean. I mean, Josh Metallic and Donnie Garrett really coming on in here in the hot seat. I mean, Donnie took last week off. I think he was in Maine. Good for him, but obviously bad for his points position. I think he ended up losing, 4 or 6 positions off of the last week. And then you've got Josh Metallic, who last week got caught up in an unfortunate accident, finished, I think, around 21st, 23rd, and he ended up getting back in the points. Another guy on the hot seat tonight has to be Bernie Mobbs. Bernie has had an unfortunate experience, puts him 1 point to the good. He's going to be another one to watch tonight.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see what those guys right around the bubble are going to do in this race. Obviously, we had that big wreck that knocked out a lot of chase drivers last week. Never know when it could happen again here today. Grant Wesley, the points leader, 564 points towards the championship. Richard Martin, the 17 points behind. Tim Nofsker with his race victory, also 17 points behind, but he is locked in. Terry Bombard is 26 points behind our points leader. Bob Seminara, 35 points behind. Mark Paglia, 37 points behind. Joe DeSpirito, 44 points behind. Bernie Mobbs, 47 points behind. And then the cutoff right there, only 1 point behind the cutoff is Josh Metallic, 48 behind the points leader. And Donnie Garrett did not race last week. He was actually in Virginia Beach, 59 points behind, and his only opportunity is if he has a good run here tonight. So we're going to have to see how it all goes down. It's Bob Dixon on the pole. Of course, remember, all the chase drivers start in the back of the field. They do not qualify, so all the guys starting up front are non-chasers, and they're led by Bob Dixon in the 143, J.R. Deal in the 09 alongside him. Corey Deal, who started on the pole last week, going to be starting third here tonight. Jessica Shelton in the 94. Dante Risi is back in the 84 to the inside of David Lawson. Greg Lovell in the 880, and Andrew Lemke alongside him. And it's Chris Elliott and Dave Melson, the top 10 starting positions here in race number 12 of the Talladega Challenge. And these are the guys, the chase drivers, Bob Seminara, Tim Nofsker back in here as well. Richard Martin, Mark Paglia, Josh Metallic, Terry Bombard, Donnie Garrett back in the number 77, Bernie Mobbs, Grant Wesley, and Joe DeSpirito. Here we go. We are ready to get this one going. The 12th race of the season. It's 66 laps here at Talladega. Bob Dixon will lead us to the green flag. Who's going to make it on to the next round of the chase? We're going to find out in 66 laps here tonight in the 12th race of the Talladega Challenge for RTG. Green flag in the air. We're underway here on this Thursday night. An even start for Bob Dixon and the 09 of J.R. Deal. We have seen in a lot of these Talladega Challenge races so far that the outside lane is a bit of a preferred line at the beginning, but the inside with a huge push there. Corey Deal had such a great run last weekend at the Talladega Challenge for race 11. He's now trying to work the outside on Bob Dixon, but Dixon holding on to the race lead. But that 944 way up there, and he is going to get the advantage.
Man, just the big thing on these guys' minds. If I'm correct, last week there was a giant wreck with at least about 10, 20, 30 cars. I mean, that's a big nightmare scenario for these guys starting in the back of the pack, which is, hey, it puts a lot of drama into it, but as a driver, you don't want that drama.
And we obviously saw what that drama could do in the points. Josh Metallic came in last week with a pretty good footing in the points with the bonuses. However, he got wrecked out early on and fell back in the standings, comes into this race 9th in points. 09, J.R. Deal, 944, Corey Deal. Back again, helping each other. It was like this at the end of last week's race. Right behind him, Dante Risi, Jessica Shelton, and David Lawson, all running the outside lane. And the outside lane is back in its true form here at Talladega. Bob Dixon could not hold the inside there on the start, and he is in a battle for 6th with the number 13 of Dave Melson. Oh, to the outside, J.R. Deal with a huge run on Corey Deal. Corey Deal moves down to the inside lane, and J.R. Deal's going to take the race lead here on lap number 2.
mean, you just got to think of some of these guys who are trying to make the aggressive moves earlier in this race. I mean, here's the thing, they've really got nothing to race for. I mean, they're really just going out for wins, the championship's out of grasp, and you're really going to see a lot of these guys be a lot more bold here as we go forward.
Dante Risi now with the run to the outside as JR Deal goes down to help out the 944 of Corey Deal. And now Dante Risi with Jessica Shelton helping each other out on that outside lane. You got Dave Melson here in the number 13 machine, the number 9 of Chris Elliott on the outside lane as well. Some other guys, Jeff Gravello, 56 machine, and Brian Lovell in the number 043 there as well. First chase driver in the field currently is the number 712 of Bob Seminara, but all these chasers still in the back. Tim Knopsker, Richard Martin there as well. You also have Joe DeSpirito, Bernie Mobbs, and Bernie Mobbs is one of those guys who's running the bubble, comes into this race 1 point ahead of the cutoff, and the way they are currently running, Josh Metallic would surpass Bernie Mobbs for that last transfer position. Donnie Garrett, who was not racing last week, is back in this race, and he's going to have a very solid run here tonight if he's going to have an opportunity and making it on to the next round, coming in 59 behind our points leader and 11, just 12 points behind the cutoff coming in. But we will eventually, no doubt about it, see if these chase drivers eventually work their way to the front. But we're still early on here in the 12th race in the Talladega Challenge, lap 4 of 66. And it's a side-by-side battle between Dante Risi and JR Deal, working that inside lane fairly well there in the 09 machine. We got the 044 here looking to the inside. To say the 944, excuse me, to the inside of Jessica Shelton. The lines are relatively equal at this point. David Lawson and somebody peeking to the apron. We'll have to see who that is. Not sure if you can get an idea on who that is there, Matthew.
It'd be the 02 or 020. It would be, looks like Michael Brown. I also want to point out, now that I'm looking back here, Joe DeSpirito, I mean, he's one of those guys who are in danger of that cutoff line. I think he's 3 points to the good here at the moment, but I mean, he's riding in the back when I don't know if he's anticipating a wreck or just bold strategy out of him.
Mm-hmm. Of course, like we mentioned, last week we saw that huge wreck that took out a lot of chase drivers, and actually I think Joe DeSpirito might have gotten caught up in it, which would explain why he's as deep in the points as he is. If I'm not mistaken, though, I do believe DeSpirito was able to finish, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, though. But I do know Josh Metallic was caught up in that wreck last week, and that definitely hurt his shot here in this championship. But he is being aggressive, working an outside lane here, 3 wide. And you got the 0-8 of Tim Knopsker leading that outside lane. He's going for 2 in a row here. Won his first race of the season last weekend in a 4/1000th of a second edge ahead of Grant Wesley. And he is currently the highest chase driver in this field in the 088. Dante Risi continues to lead on the outside lane. JR Deal, Corey Deal working the inside. David Lawson, Bob Dixon on the inside trying to work something. But the middle lane is the most preferred lane at this point here at Talladega, lap 7 of 66.
You don't know fear until you're middle of 3 wide. And I mean, hey, you can't go high, you can't go low. You're just kind of stuck. And it's all fun and games till we decide to pinch down on the high line or we decide to push up on the low line. You're just kind of stuck in the middle.
And these guys still working it out here at Talladega. That middle lane still with a very good advantage. It's going to be very interesting to see how lane, though, really getting a good advantage. It's starting to really pull away here at Talladega. You got Jessica Shelton and the 15 of Dave Melson there, right behind Dante Risi for the race lead.
I will say I've seen that 09. I don't know if he's just not too quick or he just has trouble sucking up to people's bumpers, but I mean, he has always had someone just right on him. I'm not sure if it's any bit of an engine issue or just not in the draft.
I'm going to have to see how it all plays out here. And currently I am experiencing some technical difficulties, so Hopefully, the rest of you folks at home can still see what is going on. But at the moment, I do have a frozen screen, so it might be difficult for me to properly call the race at this point. But still, good run for Dante Reese in that middle lane so far here at Talladega.
See JR Deal on the bottom side really making that push. Jessica Shelton got a huge bump from the 088 of Tim Nosker. But looks like the 09 and Corey Deal really making that bottom side work. It seems like that high line's really broken up between Jessica Shelton and the 9 and the 088 of Nosker. Right now, the bottom line is the almost preferred line as they stack up 3 by 3 by 3. I mean, really, it seems like, Corey Deal's really trying to make a charge to the outside there. But it looks like he was really, I don't know if he's committed to the back bumper, but obviously he wants to win this. But, on lap 10 of 66, maybe not the best idea. David Lawson's right on the back bumper of Corey Deal, so obviously they can make a move on the high side if they'd like to.
And we are back. I do apologize about the technical difficulties there. Unfortunately, the program that we use to transfer all this information has given me a little bit of a hard time here tonight, and it is lagging out a little bit more than normal, so we do apologize there for the couple of laps missed, but we are back, and it's now JR Deal and Corey Deal. 1-2 here at Talladega. David Lawson there, Bob Dixon, and then the number 83. I do believe that is the 83. I can focus on that card correctly. Number 83 machine there. Dave Little. Wiley Coke there in 6th. Got the number 84 of Dante Risi now in the 7th position. They fell back in the line. But the Deals 1-2, and this was something that we saw last week here at Talladega as well. And they're definitely doing a great job right now here at Talladega. They figured this place out the past couple of weeks, and they are doing an excellent job here from the Talladega Super Speedway.
Again, just looking back in the field, I mean, don't really have any big names back here, but 08 and the 7-Eleven car back
in the back
there.
of the field, and almost upside down, the 08 machine. 56 Jeff Crivello and Paul, Michael Brown, 7-11 there of John Godfrey. And our first caution of the night. We'll have to see who else was involved. I do not believe any of the chasers were involved, which is a good thing. Glenn Harris was going upside down. Bernie Mobbs might have gotten a piece of that one, but I don't think he has any damage in the 90. He was involved in the accident last week as well. And we're going to have to see if the number 90 can hold up, get a good run in this race, because if he does not, that is going to affect his chances of making it on to the next round of the chase. But thankfully, none of the chase drivers majorly involved. No one majorly involved. No hard contact in this accident. Just spin down the backstretch. But the caution did not come out. And we remain green here at Talladega. That's going to hurt Bernie Mobbs. I thought that the caution would come out for that, but apparently the game did not deem it worthy of a caution, and now Bernie Mobbs has lost the draft again, and that's not going to be good for Bernie Mobbs. If it stays green the whole way through, odds are he is not going to make it on to the next round.
Well, it even hurts him even more is that the 56 went right into his door, and it looks like the Michael Brown machine ended up cutting off his right front, so obviously there's probably going to be a little bit of aero damage on that car.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how this plays out in the points for the number 80 of Bernie Mobbs. But either way, see all those guys in the back. They're single file on the inside lane right now at David Lawson, Corey Deal, and JR Deal there. And it's going to be unique to see who gets the race victory after all this, because we are still green lap 14 of 66. We will have pit stops coming up. Roughly, I do believe, around lap 19 to 21. I imagine the fuel window would be the same from last week, so if it does stay green, it'll be a 3-stop race here from Talladega, and that could really make things interesting here in this race.
Obviously, pit stops always throw pretty much a wrench into it, because that pit road entry is a lot more deceiving than how it looks. I mean, it's really trying to coordinate, hey, I'm getting down, and then making sure when you get down, you don't get run over.
And of course, we've seen these guys come down the pit lane very quickly in a lot of these races, and we still got a pretty large pack here at Talladega. Going to be interesting to see how they maneuver it if they remain in this big pack coming to the first cycle, which will be in just a few laps here. We're on lap 15. Cycle should begin around lap 19 for these guys. Dante Risi working the outside lane right there. Good run through the middle. And check back in on the chase drivers. Once again, apologize for the technical difficulties so far tonight. Hopefully things can work out to the end of the race for us. Tim Knopsker is still the highest chase driver in the field, now inside the top 10, working that outside lane. Another guy, Josh Metallic, and this is a place I think he's pretty comfortable being in. When he was involved in the wreck last week, he ended up being in the back of the field when it happened, and it didn't work out too well for him in the end of that. And you see Bob Seminaro, Richard Martin, and Donnie Garrett starting to move their way on the inside lane. Grant Wesley taking it easy here tonight, but he is locked in on points to head into the next round, as he is 48 points ahead. That's the maximum amount of points that you can get, and obviously everyone will receive more than 1 point in tonight's event.
We'll say on the back straightaway, where it's actually almost a big accident between the 9 of, actually don't remember who, 9 of Chris Elliott and the 77 of Donnie Garrett. Donnie Garrett almost got hooked into an outside wall. Just ended up being a little bit of a wiggle, but obviously those little things can have such an outcome on the championship.
They definitely can. We'll check through the field here. Bob Seminara still in this pack. Joe Spirito still in this pack as well. But I think the only chaser who has not kept with the draft is Bernie Mobbs, who we saw at the checkup from that accident earlier on in the number 90 machine. You have one guy down the pit lane. That is Mike Rogers in the 011. And back up front, that outside lane has worked very well. Dante Risi on the outside, Jessica Shelton working with each other to get that outside lane back in form. Tim Nosker is there in third. That's probably a good reason why they're running pretty fast. Mark Paglia back behind there as well. Paglia had a solid run at Talladega last weekend, but ended up getting caught up in a lot of things that went on and kind of fell back through the field there. Didn't get the best of finishes, but we'll have to see. We got 3 chasers there on the outside lane now. Nosker, Paglia, and Metallic. They're probably going to work with each other to get to the finish of this race. Paglia and Metallic will definitely love the help from Nosker to get into the next round if they can do so here tonight.
Absolutely. Just an update on Bernie Mobbs. He was running a little bit slow there around 178, but he managed to get that pack together with the 56, the 020, and the 08. They're moving about 195 now, so at least they're up to race pace, so it's going to take a little bit longer to get lapped, so he's hoping for a caution, of course, right now.
We're going to have to see if Bernie Mobbs can hold on and have a good run in this one. We could end up with a caution. I don't know if we've had a caution-free race yet this season in the Talladega Challenge, but
looks like everyone's pitting
number 90, Bernie Mobbs.
The 09 is announced he's coming to pit. The 043, 94. It looks like a lot of these guys will come into pit this time.
So we're going to have a busy pit lane here in just a moment. You see a lot of these guys on the single file line on the inside. Dante Risi, Jessica Shelton.
Look at Nosker just send it in there.
And I believe we are back again. I'd like to apologize once again. My connection, unfortunately, is not rolling too well here tonight. And as for missing the action here, unfortunately, technology can't be perfect. Now, it's a very interesting situation. Jessica Shelton, all these guys, and then Dante Risi and Tim Nosker all by themselves. Grant Wesley Looks like he had a very good... Actually, have these guys come down yet? They have. They're just coming off the pit lane. Metallic and Wesley right there in the now third and fourth positions. Then you have Dante Risi now leading this race with Tim Knopfsker right behind him. And all these guys are going to close back in on Metallic and Wesley. You got Jessica Shelton, David Lawson on this outside lane. I believe that's Bob Seminaire on that outside lane as well inside the top 10. J.R. Deal, Chris Elliott, Richard Martin, Mark Paglia, Donnie Garrett, all in this lead pack with Joe DeSpiro. This is good for Donnie Garrett. Donnie Garrett wins this race. He's automatically under the next round, and he definitely wants to go for that race victory. These outside lane drivers are starting to form up and get that run on the outside. Jessica Shelton on the outside looking to take the lead away from Dante Risi.
Just a lot of these guys have to remember that, just because a race win does sound good and it automatically locks you in, it's not required in most of these cases. As long as you get a good top 5, it'll be locked in here.
And these guys definitely doing a good job so far, keeping the cars clean. About a third of the way. Will be a third of the way when we cross the line this time by here at Talladega. David Lawson up the second highest chase driver now. Bob Seminara there on the 712. That works out perfectly for Seminara. Came in with a 12-point buffer on the cutoff, and obviously a top 5 would secure a spot into the next round. Only 2 guys get eliminated in this first round. 4 guys get eliminated in the next round. But right now, for a lot of these guys, the goal is to make it on. And that's what a lot of these chase drivers are doing. Got DeSpirito, we got Garrett, we got Paglia, we got Wesley, we got Metallic, we got Martin, we got Knopfsker, we got Seminara, and then I think those are the only chase drivers in the lead pack. 8 of them, 2 of them, I believe, have fallen off the lead pack. And we'll take a look and go through the field. Terry Bombard's lost the draft, 23rd right now for the driver of the number 10 machine. And obviously we saw, or at least attempted to see, what happened to Bernie Mobbs. Of course, it did have a lot of technical difficulties when that accident occurred, but he's now down to 28th. And the way things are looking right now, it's not looking good for Bernie Mobbs, as the way they're currently running, he's definitely outside the top 8.
Yeah, as it stands right now, it looks like Bernie Mobbs be one of those guys on the outside looking in here. I'm trying to determine who's the other guy who would probably be looking the outside in.
Very interesting question. It could, at this point, still possibly be Donnie Garrett, currently in the 8th position. That would award him 32 points.
Honestly, I think at this moment, the 2 guys looking on the outside in would have to be Bernie Mobbs and Joe DeSpirito.
Yeah,
just because they're...
Yeah, DeSpirito is at the back of this pack. Yeah, and he's only a few points behind, or should I say a few points ahead of the cutoff. But you got to remember, too, Donnie Garrett, he's starting to fall back here. At this moment, DeSpirito is ahead of Garrett in the points. I know that much because Garrett's starting to fall back here. And Garrett, he has a 15-point deficit on DeSpirito, and they're only 1 position away from each other. So I do believe at this moment in time, it's Donnie Garrett and Bernie Mobbs, the 2 drivers who would miss out on the next round of the chase, because all the other guys have had relatively solid runs. Terry Bombard had a solid run last week, and that's helped him out a lot. He's got a pretty good buffer, as we got a lot of good racing up front. David Lawson looking to the inside of Jessica Shelton. We've seen a lot of guys who are not in the chase. Richard Martin around, 43 upside down. And Tim Knopfsker, Mark Paglia are involved as well. Chris Elliott in the 9. This could be a caution. It's not. They stay in the grass. I'm wondering, though, if they're going to try to get one here. We'll have to see what they call. Richard Martin in the 43 around. Mark Paglia in the 28. And now the yellow will officially fly here at Talladega. First one of the night. Lap 26 of 66. They were doing so well. And it looks like it might have just been a miscommunication right there as Richard Martin was moving down. Now, thankfully, I don't see any heavy damage on Martin or Knopfsker. Of course, for Knopfsker, it really doesn't matter either way since he won last week. But definitely for Richard Martin and especially Mark Paglia, because Paglia doesn't have near as much of a buffer as Martin does. Martin has a pretty good buffer ahead. Paglia does not. He can't afford to fall back anymore. He's now down to 25th, but as long as he doesn't have any damage, he should be able to rebound in this one. But our first yellow flag of the night here in race number 12 of the Talladega Challenge, and the race back to the line was won by David Lawson in the number 18.
Honestly, just that whole instant looks like it was just kind of kicked off by Chris Elliott just trying to go for kind of maximum position. It looks like to be just a little bit of bumper grab, sent him up the hill and obviously into the 43, and it kicked that off.
And we will review the accident once we see who comes down the pit lane and who doesn't. They did just come off. I would imagine that these drivers would come down here. It would be one stop from here regardless, but I might want to just go ahead and get that second pit stop out of the way under caution, not have to try to do it under green. We'll see what they do. David Lawson, number 18, leads the field. Jessica Shelton, J.R. Deal, Bob Seminara, highest chase driver in the field. And he was one of those guys, I believe, who was involved in the accident last week. Now, he was able to stick with the pack last week and able to salvage a decent run. But he's got a much better run here tonight. Grant Wesley there, who almost won last week. Lost it by 4 1/1000 of a second. Donnie Garrett in 6th. Josh Metallic, Dante Risi, Joe Spirito, and Greg Lovell. That's the top 10, and they are all going to come down the pit lane. Number 18, David Lawson, will lead them down, and it looks like everyone's going to come down and at least top off on fuel. We could see some strategy, though, here. Yeah, Grant Wesley, Joe Spirito, of course, all the chase drivers at the back of the field because they do not qualify, and gives a lot of the guys who aren't chasers a little bit of a boost to have them have a good shot in the race. And Grant Wesley looks like he's going to win the race off of those guys. It's a very, very busy pit lane. You see Richard Martin there, who was involved in the accident, got a lot of airtime in that number 43 machine. And coming off the pit lane, it will be David Lawson, Jessica Shelton, Grant Wesley, and it's a close one there between Dante Risi and Bob Seminara. I'll have to see what scoring says after that one. Let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out the first caution here in the 12th race of the Talladega Challenge. Just for everyone's information, Wayne Primnow, Cy Jones, and Mike Rogers are still out there. I would imagine they might come down the pit lane, but we'll have to see what they do later on.
I am a tiny bit disappointed that Bernie Moms didn't decide to stay out. I mean, that would have been a power move. Hey, I think he just came out the pit road about 2-3 laps ago. I mean, track positions, almost everything. Just hope for another caution, quick caution. Everyone dives in the pit road again, and hey, you got all that track position.
The good thing, though, for Bernie Mobbs is he will be able to rejoin the pack. And I guess he's banking on being able to race his way through to the end. Let's go ahead and replay this accident here in slow motion. And you see Chris Elliott there in the middle. It looks like he just gets aero loose. Lost control of the car and then came up on Richard Martin. And Grant Wesley just got a piece of it. Tim Knopsker's there and Mark Paglia have nowhere to go. And thankfully, nobody hits the wall. So I would imagine all these guys should be able to continue moderate damage on for these guys. And you see the 43 catch a lot of air right there. Definitely a wild moment. Chris Elliott also involved there and getting in the 3 chasers. Thankfully, no one's going to get taken out after this one. And it did take a while for them to call the caution out, but definitely glad they did that. As that would have definitely hurt Martin and Paglia and Knopsker in that. I wouldn't have hurt. Well, it would have hurt Knopsker in his chances of winning the race. It wouldn't hurt Knopsker in the championship, though. Like we mentioned, already won last week, is already locked on. Go ahead and get a real-time replay of this incident here. Richard Martin going for a bit of a wild ride in the number 43. Chris Elliott just gets loose. Almost got into Paglia, but then came back up on Richard Martin. And thankfully, it was only 4 guys involved. That could have been much worse. But thankfully, they should all be in the race. It should still be in the lead pack as well. So, should still see these guys running up front eventually in this race. Not even halfway through this one. And I'd imagine we'll probably see Richard Martin, these guys. As long as they didn't gain any significant damage on their cars, we should see them back up front eventually. Wayne Primnow did stay out. We'll check and see if he does decide to stay out. He did come down to top off. So that would give the lead back over to David Lawson in the 18, who won the race off the pit lane of those guys. And you mentioned how it would be cool to see Bernie Mobbs pull off that strategy of him staying out. But he, in the way I'm looking at it at least, should not do that. Because if it remains green from here on out, he still has to make 2 stops. Everybody else has to make 1. That is not going to work out for the 08. Now, given we could end up with another caution, but we did go the first 25 laps without a caution in this race, and we had a spectacular finish last week when caution free to the finish there in those last few laps. did have a couple cautions. A very light race on the cautions last week. We had that one big wreck, and then we had another wreck, and that was it. We got a green flag finish next week. We'll just have to see how it all goes down. On Bernie Mobs, I don't want to know if I don't want to take that risk, I should say. And I don't want to know what would happen if I took that risk, because he's a little close there. He gets to rejoin the pack here and has an opportunity at getting back to the race lead and gaining some points.
At least my experience with super speedway racing, this is just the tip of the iceberg for cautions. This is when people start getting antsy because, hey, we did 2, 3, 4 pace laps around here. I mean, we're ready to go back green, and obviously when they go back green, everyone's going to be antsy to get back up front because, hey, they may have decided, oh, let me take 4 tires. Everyone else took 2. I mean, there's going to be people just trying to push, and of course, push comes to shove, and I think there's going to be about another 2 or 3 cautions here.
We'll have to see how it all goes down. Do keep in mind, these guys do race here at Talladega every week, so they know this place, they know how it races. We'll have to see. That's why we race.
I will admit,
pace car match, and they're going to go out right here, and I believe they will. 7-11 there of John Godfrey will get back on the lead lap. He gets the free pass, and if I'm not mistaken, we got Tim Knopfsker coming back down the pit lane. He's a lap down. Knopfsker in the 088 might have gained some damage, and Cy Jones in the 7's on the pit lane as well. Outside of that, everybody else is still on the lead lap. Let's go through the field. There are some names here that we've yet to mention here tonight. Obviously, with the technical difficulties and all that, it's been a little difficult to get everybody, but thankfully, those technical difficulties should be over with now, knock on wood. David Lawson, the race leader. Jessica Shelton will be restarting alongside him. Then it's Grant Wesley, 3-time winner this season, to the inside of Dante Risi, Bob Seminara, J.R. Deal, Donnie Garrett. This is a huge race for him here. We'll have to see if he can race his way in the 77. He is currently in 7th. He's going to be restarting alongside Joe DeSpirito. We got Josh Metallic starting there alongside Bob Dixon. We got ourselves the number 944 of Corey Deal looking to the inside of Dave Little for row number 6. 880 of Greg Lovell to the inside of Brian Lovell for row number 7. Dave Melson, Terry Bombard, another one of these chase drivers. And Bombard comes in, do the math here, 21 points ahead. It would take a lot for Bombard to miss it, but it is still possible if things get crazy enough that he could possibly miss the cutoff. Hasn't had the best of nights here in that number 10 machine. Andrew Lemke to the inside of the 60 machine driven by Perry Bond. Then we got Bernie Mobs there, back in the pack in 21st alongside Richard Martin, who was involved in the accident. Glenn Harris, Jeff Crivello, Michael Brown there, and Wayne Prim now. They came down the pit lane to top off. Mark Paglia deep in the field, but was involved in an accident. Mike Rogers there, Chris Elliott, Tim Knopfsker, Cy Jones, and John Godfrey. And as a matter of fact, everyone is on the lead lap. Those drivers who were on the pit lane, Knopfsker and Cy Jones had yet to cross the start-finish line. Silly me, forgot where the start-finish line was here at Talladega. I don't know how. Here we go. We're back to racing. Lap 31 of 66, almost halfway. David Lawson on the inside lane. We're back to racing in race 12. Oh boy, Grant Wesley already. And peek down to the inside. And we got ourselves 4 chasers right there on the inside lane. Grant Wesley, Bob Seminara, Donnie Garrett, and Josh Metallic. And then you got the non-chasers on the outside lane. David Lawson, Jessica Shelton, Dante Risi, and J.R. Deal. But you do have Joe DeSpirito up there. Number 24. DeSpirito's got to be careful. Well, he's only 3 points ahead of the cutoff coming into this race. Where he's running right now, he should be good to go. But doesn't want to end up losing a shot. Could get shuffled out here. We'll just have to see. Grant Wesley, though, it's hard to keep him from the race lead here in the Talladega Challenge. He's going to go back to it right there. First lap, lead of the night for Grant Wesley, who... Oh, and another big wreck in the back of the field. That is the 56 of Jeff Crivello, and somebody sliding on his roof. That's Glenn Harris in the 08, and that might knock him out.
Tim Knopfsker is also involved in that. It looks like he got some pretty heavy damage.
And Knopfsker isn't quite in the position he was at last week, but pretty sure he's glad he got that win last week at Talladega for the 11th race. To be just 5 1,000ths of a second slower, he might not be feeling too good right now. I do believe Bernie Mobs is still in this. He avoided that, so that's good for the number 9. He raced back to the line. I don't think it's quite a race. Grant Wesley is the race leader, and across halfway under this caution, Glenn Harris took a wild ride there in the 0-8. Chris Elliott again involved in this one, number 9. Cy Jones, Jeff Crivello there as well. A lot of the guys in the back of the field are getting caught up in this one here at Talladega. Still a 19 to 21 lap fuel run. These guys really don't have anything to gain by coming down this time. So we'll have to see if they do come down. If they don't, we'll jump right to the restart. If they do, we'll see how the pit stops go. But interesting race so far. 2 quick cautions, one right after another, I should say. It looks like you proved me wrong right there. Do you think we're going to continue to see that throughout the night, or do you think it's possible this thing could stay green? Because like we said last week, we only had 2 cautions here at Talladega.
I said, in my experience, even after all these pace laps, they're going to get even more antsy because, hey, they see that lap counter ticking down and they're not in the position that they want to be.
Of course, no green, white checkers in this series. Once we hit lap 66, that is it, whether it be under the green flag or the yellow flag. Next time by will be halfway here in race number 12. Grant Wesley already into the next race of the chase on points, and take a look at the points coming in once again. Grant Wesley, 564 points, the points leader. Richard Martin, Tim Nosker both came in 70 points ahead. Of course, Nosker already in the next round with his win. Terry Bombard was 26 points behind the cutoff, or should I say 26 points behind Grant Wesley. Bob Simon there was 35 points behind Grant Wesley. Mark Paglia, 37 points behind Grant Wesley. Joe DeSpirito, 44 points behind Grant Wesley, and Bernie Mobbs, 47 points behind. And then the cutoff right there with Josh Metallic came in 48 points behind, so 1 point behind the cutoff. And Donnie Garrett, 11 points behind the cutoff, or should I say 12 points behind the cutoff coming into this race. Everyone came down the top off, but they will still have to make another stop in this race. I think they wanted to make sure they can make it on one stop. And Grant Wesley will win the race off the pit lane in the 88 machine with David Lawson in second, Bob Seminara, Jessica Shelton, and Dante Risi. That is the top 5. Let's go ahead and see what happened here in the back of the field. And Chris Elliott again getting caught up in this one, but Glenn Harris taking the wild ride in the 0-8. And like I mentioned, this is the second incident that Chris Elliott has been involved in here tonight.
Really say he was just an unfortunate bystander in that one.
And we will replay and see, and I believe you are right. It looks like Glenn Harris and Wayne Pribnow there in the 0-0. I'm really sure. It almost looks like Glenn Harris might have had a problem. Maybe got too much of a push from the 0-0, came down on Crivello. Mark Paglia was right behind that and avoided it. Paglia is a guy who's got to be careful in this one, as he's only 37 points behind Wesley and 10 points ahead of the cutoff. But Glenn Harris, Jeff Crivello, and Chris Elliott was an innocent bystander in this one, so this one was not his fault, thankfully. But that looks like it was just a simple racing incident right there. Prim now just giving a little too much power to the OA, and Glenn Harris couldn't control it, and around he went. Tough break there for the 0-8 of Glenn Harris. Been a tough night for him. I believe he did lose the draft earlier on, and he will not get the race victory here tonight. We'll go ahead and replay this in real time and see the full effect of it. Yeah, just a little bit of tap there from Pribnow. It's an honest mistake, and Chris Elliott took a hard hit to the inside wall there. That might affect his chances at running with this pack. And Crivello just spun. I think Crivello should be all right. I don't think we can say the same there for Glenn Harris in the 0-8.
You know, I'm looking up here at this lineup. See, I think Bernie Mobbs took my advice. He's currently sitting P5 here.
You have to see what the number 90 can do. And this is a point, too. I think everyone in the field can make it on one more stop. I don't think they have to worry about being on an off strategy near the end of the race. Donnie Garrett, the race leader, that's exactly what he wants. And now Bernie Mobbs here in 5th. That's really going to make things interesting, because it's guys like Josh Metallic, Joe DeSpirito, Mark Paglia, Bernie Mobbs, Bob Seminara's close, but I don't think Seminara has to worry too much. Even Paglia's, he's only 10 points ahead coming in, so it's going to be really interesting to see how it all goes down. It's hard to keep track of it in your head while you're doing the race, but right now, the way they run, Donnie Garrett shoots himself up to a position where he's in the lead. He automatically makes it in if he wins this race. And then Bernie Mob's currently in 5th. That's going to give him a lot of points, and enough points, in my opinion, to surpass Despirito and Paglia. As for Josh Metallic, number 39, he's back in there with those guys. Despirito alongside him for this restart. Paglia has not had the best of runs as of late in this one. He was behind all those guys when that accident occurred. He's down in 22nd right now. And the way things are running right now, it may be just maybe Metallic and Paglia at the moment, who are the two guys out looking in. But it could be different by the time we get to the end of the race. It will probably be different by the time we get to the end of the race. So a long ways left to go on this one as the lights are still on the pace car. Donnie Garrett going to stay out here. Bob Dixon, Greg Lovell, Brian Lovell, and Bernie Mobs, along with Andrew Lemke, they all stayed out. And I believe Nosker stayed out as well, because I know he wasn't up front when the restart occurred. Grant Wesley was the first guy off the pit lane. He's going to be restarting in 8th. Interesting strategy there from Nosker.
And you got to think, too. Statement out of Donnie. Donnie misses a week and ends up saying, no, I don't even need all races to lock myself in.
Well, after what we've seen so far tonight, he might not need 2 races to lock himself in. We're going to have to see. I was just about to say, for Tim Nofsker, this is a perfect opportunity to try things out for the next 3 races. Because he's already locked on to the second round, but he's got to advance on to the final 4 there, and 50% of the drivers get eliminated in the next round. So for Nofsker, it's going to be a lot more intense in those next 2 races, and you'll see those here on the Flatout Racing Network. We got them all the way down to the championship 3 weeks from now. But Tim Nofsker, 088, stayed out there, was already involved in the accident. Why not go ahead and try to get back up there to the field and get some more practice for when he's going to really need it. Of course, last week's race was spectacular between him and Grant Wesley, and they're going to be restarting alongside each other in row number 4. Row 1 will be Donnie Garrett and Bob Dixon, Greg Lovell, Brian Lovell, Bernie Mobs, Andrew Lemke, Nofsker and Wesley, David Lawson, Bob Seminara. That is row number 5. Jessica Shelton and the number 84 of Dante Risi. J.R. Deal and Josh Metallic there in row 7. Joe Despirito and Dave Melson in row 8. Terry Bombard and Wiley Coe. Haven't mentioned Wiley yet in this race. He'll be restarting in the 18th position there in row number 9. Richard Martin, Dave Little in row number 10. Harry Bond alongside Mark Paglia. And I believe Paglia may be the deepest chase driver in the field at the moment. Then you got Michael Brown and John Godfrey, row 12. Mike Rogers, Corey Deal, row 13. Tris Elliott and Jeff Crivello in row 14. Wayne Pribnow and Cy Jones in row 15. Everybody's still on the lead lap after all that we've seen in this race. Actually, I take that back. Glenn Harris out of the race in the number 08. But outside of that, everyone who's still out there racing is still on the lead lap. So that could really make things interesting here for these final 30 laps. Here we go. Donnie Garrett, Bob Dixon. We're getting ready to go back to racing and see how many free-fly laps we get. We could go all the way to the end. Who knows how it's going to play out. It's the last race in the first round of the chase. Let's see how it all goes down for 30 more laps here at Talladega. Greg Lovell with a huge shove there to Donnie Garrett. It's been a great night for Donnie Garrett so far, considering that he missed last week. Not turning out too bad at the moment. He's out here on strategy, so it's going to be interesting. These guys who are up front, Bernie Mobs, Tim Nosker, those guys on the inside lane, with the exception of David Lawson, they are going to have to pit a little bit earlier than everybody else. We'll have to see if that affects them, if this thing stays green, if that hurts them or helps them at the end of the race, if it stays green. That's a big if. Donnie Garrett holding on the inside. He will lead lap number 37. 29 laps to go here at Talladega.
We got to remember, you don't need to win the race. You just got to, or at least in Bernie Mobs' case, you don't need to win. You just need to be close enough to the front.
But for Donnie Garrett, a win is the surefire way of getting in. So we're going to have to see if he can pull that off. Now, obviously, Donnie Garrett coming in with a bit of a disadvantage right there, 12 points behind the cutoff. And how close everyone is. They're all in the lead lap. Anyone can finish anywhere. I mean, all those other chase drivers can end up finishing inside the top 10. It just could be the way it ends up working out. And if that happens, Donnie Garrett's not going to have a chance of making it on the next round. So if he wins the race, he's good to go for the next round of the chase here from Talladega. Lap 39 of 66. Donnie Garrett continuing to hold on that inside lane a lot stronger now than it was earlier on. Bob Dixon got some 3 wide back in there. Brian Lovell trying to work along on the outside. You got Andrew Lemke. And that, you know what? Kind of strange to see that. Grant Wesley did not move up to the field very well. He's been taking it rather conservative in this race. And now, speaking of conservative, some guys are not being conservative. Tim Knopsker, David Lawson, J.R. Deal on the outside lane, trying to get to Donnie Garrett and those guys on the inside. And the outside lane has been the preferred line in a lot of these races. Knopsker looking to possibly take the lead away from Donnie Garrett here, but Garrett continuing to lead in the 77. 880 there. Greg Lovell has been behind the number 77 for quite some time. And he's been helping Donnie Garrett out in this race pretty well. You got Bernie Mobbs right there. He's still hanging on as well. Number 90 Machine, he's in a very good position. Joe DeSpirito moving up to the field as well. See where Josh Metallic is right now. Number 39, he's back there behind Andrew Lemke around the 15th position. Metallic's not in a good position right now. All these other guys running up front. 088 is Tim Knopsker trying to work that outside lane. I'm wondering if he has a bit of damage, and that could be slowing him down just a little bit here from Talladega. Bernie Mobbs still hanging on. Bob Seminara's now right behind him on the inside lane. You got Joe DeSpirito here as well. Got a few chase drivers on the inside. Greg Lovell, the only chaser non-chaser, inside the top 5 at the moment, racing with these guys. But he's just hanging right in there behind Donnie Garrett now. Keep in mind, all these guys have to make another pit stop in this race. That is going to affect the outcome, no doubt about it. And that outside lane's not forming up as well as it was earlier on. So we're just going to have to see how it all goes down. Terry Bombard got a good run going for him. He's in mid-pack all day, but now he's inside the top 10. We're going to have to see what he can do with that run on the inside lane. The number 18 David Lawson trying to push Tim Knopsker on the outside, but this inside lane has a lot of chase drivers, a lot of strong guys on the inside. Grant Wesley got back to the inside. He's behind Perry Bonner right now. 08 trying to move his way back to the field, even though he doesn't need it. He's in on points. Very interesting situation there for Grant Wesley. In on points. Came into the chase with 20 bonus points and then got 44 points last week for leading the most laps and finishing second. So Grant Wesley definitely with a great run in that race, helping him out here tonight. And it's going to be interesting to see if he can hold on and possibly get another. They pull it off here from Talladega. And now the outside lane really forming up. Bernie Mobbs made a move to the outside there. Bob Seminara went with him. So did Joe DeSpirito. And now, here's the thing. If any of these chasers win, they lock on in the next round. That includes Bernie Mobbs. Now, with Bernie Mobbs' case, if he gets enough points in this race, finishes top 5, he should be good to go to make it on to the next round. But Donnie Garrett, he's in a position where he almost needs this win because he had such a disadvantage from not starting last week. They're side by side for the race lead here at Talladega. Greg Lovell, Perry Bond, and Grant Wesley on the inside lane. Grant Wesley's a good guy to have in your line. Dante Risi back in there as well, but the outside lane has a lot more help. And Bernie Mobbs may be able to clear Donnie Garrett here, but they're going to keep that outside lane rolling for the time being. Next time by, it's going to be 23 laps to go here at Talladega. And we're closing in to be within the fuel window. Now, I'm not sure when they're going to pit. They might pit right when the fuel window opens, but they may pit until they're out of fuel. We're going to have to see how it all plays out. You got to remember, guys like Bernie Mobbs and Donnie Garrett, they stayed out under the last caution. They're going to have to come in sooner than a lot of the other guys they're racing around, like Bob Seminara, like Joe DeSpirito, like Terry Bombard. Tim Knopsker stayed out, but Grant Wesley came down as well, and they're all mixed together now here at Talladega, coming to 22 laps to go. Oh, and around. Perry Bond in the 60. He's going to flip. And we got a big wreck down the backstretch. This might take out a few chasers. We're going to have to see. Mark Paglia, Richard Martin involved. I think Josh Metallic slowed down in time. I don't see that much damage on Paglia. But that is going to hurt Paglia's chances here. And he came in 10 points ahead. He is now falling back in the standings again. And our third caution of the night, right at the window as well. This is going to get interesting. It is currently at 45 of 66. Bernie Mobs is the race leader. And that strategy, like Matt was saying, it looks like it might have played out perfectly for the number 90, because at this point, 21 laps to go, that's the cap of the fuel run, 19 to 21 laps. That should give Bernie Mobs an opportunity at being on the same strategy as everybody else here. Going to be interesting to see how it all plays out in this one. But Bernie Mobs, the race leader after a huge wreck here at Talladega. Corey Deal in the 944. It looks like his night might be done a little bit different than what he had last night, or should I say last week. Perry Bond there in the 60. Grant Wesley was caught up in this one, and thankfully had all those bonus points. Jessica Shelton, Richard Martin had a piece of that one. Wiley Koch there in the 6 might have been involved. I'm not entirely sure. Mark Paglia, I don't see too much damage on the 28. A lot of other guys do, like Mike Rogers. And the 39 of Josh Metallic slowed down in time, and he needed to. If he got involved in that one, got knocked out, that would have been it for Metallic. But he's still got a shot, but this has not been a good run for Metallic so far here in this chase. Here we go. 21 to go. Be 20 to go at the line. I think that's Novsker staying out. Bob Dixon also staying out in the 143, and I couldn't tell who the other driver was. It may have been Greg Lovell, possibly, which for Lovell, yeah, Lovell stayed out there. Excuse me, it was not Novsker. It was Lovell who stayed out, and then it was Brian Lovell. So both of the Lovells staying out there. They're 1-2 at the moment. Metallic's going to stay out here. Interesting strategy there on Metallic. I think Metallic just want to make sure he can make it to the end on fuel. He's going to be restarting in the back of the field anyway, but these guys going to top off right here. We got ourselves 22 laps to go. JR Deal, Dante Reese there in those first few positions, and the race off the pit lane will be won by Bob Seminara in the 712. Joe DeSpirito as well in the 24. 1-2 off the pit lane. David Lawson, Dante Reese, and Tim Novsker back in the mix to possibly win his second race in a row. Donnie Garrett fell back to 7th off the pit lane. Maybe 6th, looks like he was ahead of Dave Little there. So we'll have to see how that affects Donnie Garrett. Bernie Mobs in the 90. Didn't have a good pit stop right there. He lost a few positions after he came in the race leader. However, he will, as long as these guys who stayed out come back down, he should be in a top 10 restarting position. But we did have a few guys stay out. Greg Lovell currently the race leader, but they should have to come back down again for one last round. Let's go ahead and see what happened for our third caution of the night. Corey Deal in the 944. One of the drivers involved in this accident, but this is definitely our biggest wreck so far of the night. Grant Wesley getting involved in it, the number 088, and like we mentioned, already locked into the next round of the chase on points. But if that were to happen in the second round of the chase, that would put Wesley in a very bad position. We're going to replay it here, see exactly what happened. And it could have been possibly a lag issue as well. Sometimes someone pops out. Oh, no. David Lawson got into Tim Novsker, and that sent Perry Bond around in the 60. And I think Grant Wesley went to the inside. Yep, that's where Wesley got his damage. Hard into the inside wall there for the 088. But then Jessica Shelton went for a wild ride. I think those are third and fourth flips of the night. Corey Deal, there's flip number 5 of the night. And then Bob Dixon nowhere to go. JR Deal nowhere to go. Andrew Lemke. Mark Paglia got caught up in it, but I don't think he gave him too much damage. And then you see back in here, Josh Metallic just comes to a complete stop in the 39. And thankfully for Metallic, he doesn't have any damage, I don't believe. And I don't think Paglia's going to have too much either. Obviously, moderate damage on Richard Martin. Also good to go there. Of course, Martin came in with a very good point lead ahead, or should I say, yeah, very good point lead ahead of the cutoff, roughly around 30 points. So Martin should be good to go as well to make it in, and even Terry Bombard in the 10, because Bombard avoided this accident. He should be good to go on the points as well. We'll go ahead and take this one in real time and see just how violent it was for some of these guys. Perry Bond was the first driver to go around in the number 60 machine, and right ahead of him, Greg Lovell was spinning out, or lagging out, I should say, but David Lawson got in the Tim Nosker. Those guys were able to save it, but they created a massive wreck behind them, and have to see how much that affects the chase. None of the guys who are on the bubble are going to be taken out from this accident. Paglia and Martin, a couple of chase drivers involved. Paglia really the only guy on the bubble who was involved in an accident, and obviously Grant Wesley had his damage, but he came in the points leader, and obviously, we said multiple times, he's already good to go to make it on to the next round. Bob Seminara won the race off the pit lane. And odds are, I believe he will be the new race leader, and he will. They're currently single file at the moment, as they're still under the caution flag. And I don't know if you're still here at the moment, Matt, but what are your thoughts on all that's going on so far here at Talladega? It's been 3 cautions, and all these chase drivers still in this race. At least all the guys who are on the bubble still in this thing.
Yes, I just remembered I was on Push to Talk, so I've been monologuing to myself for at least a little bit, but I'm really kind of shocked in how this kind of has escalated. Obviously, Donnie Garrett's in a really precarious position right now. He needs to get to the front. I mean, this is pretty much kind of a win scenario. While everyone wrecking does help him, right now there just isn't enough positions for him really to get in on points. He's going to need a win.
We're going to have to see here. He's going to have to beat David Lawson, Tim Nosker, Joe DeSpirito, Bob Seminara. Lawson, the only guy who hasn't won a race this season of those top 4. We'll have to see. It's going to be tough. Obviously, we saw what Nosker did last week, and we know that he is definitely strong enough to have a good shot. And how about this Terry Bombard up here as well? Been kind of quiet in both of these races, actually, but has managed to find himself up front near the end.
I mean, just here's the thing. You don't need to be, good. You just have to be consistent. And here's the thing, as long as you're consistent and at least you're still knocking out those good top 15, top 10 finishes, you will continue to advance the rounds.
We're going to have to see if Donnie Garrett can advance to this round. If he can, he may be a good threat to possibly win this championship. We're just going to have to see. He's had a great day, no doubt about it. He has come in here and he's done what he's needed to do. A little bit slow on the pit stop, lost a little bit of ground, but he's still right up there. And with about, I think the lights, can't tell, I think the lights are off, if I'm not mistaken. They are. So we are going back to green this time by lap 49 of 66. That will be an 18 lap run to the finish. So still a little ways to go. And I don't think fuel's going to be an issue. Obviously, these guys should be masters at saving a 19 to 21 lap fuel run. And they came down on lap 20, but also with a caution involved as well. So I don't think fuel's going to be an issue. Everyone's topped off, so it's going to be down to the wire here. Bob Seminara, Joe DeSpirito, David Lawson, Tim Nosker, Donnie Garrett, Terry Bombard, J.R. Deal, Jeff Crivello, Wiley Coate, and Grant Wesley, who was involved in an accident and has heavy rear-end damage, is currently in the 10th position. Other chase drivers in the field, and we'll get to them here. A lot of guys in the back, not chase drivers. Josh Metallic, currently the lowest chase driver in the field. That is not at all what he wants. And Paglia not too far ahead there in the 16th position. Richard Martin to the inside of Grant Wesley, currently going to restart in the 11th position. But a lot of these chase drivers inside the top 10 right now. So for Donnie Garrett, he needs to have a good run. At the moment, here's the thing. If Garrett wins this race, Paglia and Metallic fall back and finish where they're at, I'm looking at Garrett going on, Metallic, and Paglia being the 2 guys who get knocked out. Bernie Mobbs in the number 90. Also another one of those guys to watch out for. And he's kind of in the middle with those guys as well. So
he pitted under that last caution, and it didn't look like that whole middle section of the pack got going. It looks like someone either spun their tires or missed it.
He fell off quite a bit there. Paglia is going to surpass him. So now I'm looking at maybe Metallic and Mobbs falling back here, because Paglia's ahead of those guys, had 10 points on that cutoff, which was between Metallic and Mobbs. But if Donnie Garrett wins, that's the case. If he doesn't win, then Metallic and Mobs may be able to squeeze out enough points to surpass him and move on to the next round.
I mean, just look at the Spirito. I mean, he came out of nowhere, and he's now at least in the conversation to win this.
About those guys. Seminara as well. I mean, Seminara's been up there, but first time these guys have been up front, and here he comes, Tim Notsker, 088. You mentioned Despirito there. Really haven't seen that much of him. Didn't really see much of him last week. I think he was involved in the accident. That's partly why. But great run for the number 24 here at Talladega. Going to be 16 laps to go this time by. David Lawson there as well. Highest of the non-chasers, but a lot of chasers running up front. Garrett, my goodness.
What a save.
That was Crivello who got into the rear of the 77, and Donnie Garrett had to save that, or otherwise his championship hopes would have ended right there. But he saved it. Trying to work this outside lane here to get around Tim Notsker. You got Seminary, you got Despirito, you got Bombard, and then you got the 77 of Garrett. All in that outside lane, looking to surpass the 088. David Lawson's trying to help the 088 on the inside. Wiley Coat down there as well in the 6. It's definitely a wild one so far. Got Grant Wesley. I think, Wesley may have been one of those guys who didn't get going on the restart, possibly. That might have been what hurt Bernie Mobs and Josh Metallic. Those guys, they know they got to get to the front. Mark Paglia's been falling back in the 28. And Paglia's got to be careful here. At the moment, Paglia is still ahead of Metallic and Mobs in the points, but if Metallic and Mobs get far enough ahead, they could push Paglia outside the top 10, or should I say outside the top 8. And got to remember, Donnie Garrett is also still a factor in this one as well. But for guys like Seminara and Despirito, as long as they stay where they are right now, they're good to go. Same with Terry Bombard. All those guys are in good positions. And they're not going to risk too much to take that away, I don't think, in this race. So that's going to make it a little bit easier for Donnie Garrett to possibly get this race win. But all these guys still want a race win too. They're going to get those bonus points, I'd imagine, for the next round, and that will definitely be helpful. And you know what? That, I think, is what Tim Notsker is trying to do as well. He's trying to get some more bonus points heading into the second round. That's going to help him out. He's going to have all those bonus points from 2 straight wins heading into the next round if he can get this win, and that's why he's been going so hard for it here tonight at Talladega.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Why you can take the race easy, I mean, you don't want to take a week off and say, hey, I'm gonna take it easy this week, and I'll get right back into it next week. And then, hey, your next 2-3 weeks are just terrible. I mean, you're going to be looking back to this week like, why did I take it easy this week?
See a lot in the NFL. The teams that win the divisions, they get the bye, and they don't do as good when they play their first playoff game. So, good mentality there for Tim Notsker. Go for it. Keep that momentum going. And Donnie Garrett is going to get some momentum from him right here. Move down to the inside, but Seminara's going to block as well. Now that inside lane, the preferred line. I don't know if the outside's going to have enough to reach a impasse with the 77, and they won't. Garrett's going to hold on to the inside and clear the outside lane. Notsker's looking to the outside here, but now Garrett is in second. And at the moment, trying to think here, Metallic is starting to move his way through the field in the 39, and he's starting to close in range on the 77. Bernie Mob's in the 90, and looks like they're both right on each other right there. It's really close. The way it is right now, Donnie Garrett would not surpass Metallic and Mobs in the points, I don't think. So Garrett is in a must-win position right now. Looking to the outside, Notsker had a run. Garrett is going to be able to clear him somehow. I don't know how. He had enough room to do it, though, and now Seminara has a gap here. We'll have to see if the 712 blocks the 77 or lets him by in that outside lane. Looks like he will let him by. That outside lane had too much momentum for the 712 to make a block. And now it is 12 laps to go here in race number 12 of the Talladega Challenge, and they're side-by-side for the race lead. Donnie Garrett back up front. The thing, I didn't think of this one. Garrett does have a bonus point for leading a lap. I don't know who's led the most laps in this race, though. They really haven't had a dominant guy so far, so it may be Garrett, it may not be, but we've had a lot of different leaders so far, but Garrett does have that bonus point. Bernie Mobs also does as well. Metallic does not. So keep that in mind. That's going to be interesting. You get a bonus point for leading a lap, another bonus point for leading the most laps. And we're just going to have to see if the 77 of Donnie Garrett can hold this one off here. But side-by-side battle with Bob Seminara. It's a close one up front here at Talladega.
I mean, just look at this pack. I mean, everyone's really caught back up. Everyone's gotten pretty close. And this is when you're going to start seeing these guys like, hey, we've got less than 10 to go here. It's going to be push and shove.
It definitely will be. Obviously, remember race 7? was the last, the one regular season race that I called. Richard Martin was 4th, the white flag. And then Pandemonium. All the guys wrecked ahead of him. There's a massive wreck near the end of the race, and Richard Martin drove around, got his race victory. And it looks like Richard Martin will be able to advance on. Obviously had a lot of points heading in, had a great run last week, so he should be good to go. But the big question is, will it be Donnie Garrett? Will it be Bernie Mobbs? Will it be Josh Metallic? Metallic with a huge rally. Bernie Mobbs is falling back. Mobbs is currently on the outside looking in. At this point, that last transfer position's between the 77 and the 39. Because you got to think here, Despirito's up here as well. I mean, he's had a good day. He's in 6th. But Metallic could be in a position to possibly surpass him in points. They're only 4 points apart from each other. Despirito could be in range of possibly getting knocked out here. So he could throw his head into the ring. But at this moment, Bernie Mobbs, the way things are currently looking right now, it's not looking good for the number 90. And odds are he's going to fall outside the top 8 if things stay the way they currently are. Now, if Donnie Garrett wins, it's going to be Metallic at the moment. But Metallic does have a shot at surpassing Despirito in the points if he finishes 4 positions ahead of him. Actually, he's going to want to finish 5 positions ahead of him to get that extra point on him to advance on. I don't know how the tiebreaker would work between the two of them. I don't know who has the advantage in that one. I would imagine to be wins. I don't remember who has the most wins between the two, but that's if Donnie Garrett wins. And if he doesn't win, then those guys don't really have to worry about it as much. But, Garrett's going to be going all out for this win. He's the one guy who's up front right now who knows he needs to win this race. He's going to be fighting harder than anybody else for this one.
Absolutely, but like I said, with all these cars so close together, I mean, one move can really just derail an entire season.
Looks like we may have had someone have an issue. Mike Rogers in the 11, the 60 of Perry Bond. I don't know if the caution is out, and it is. They're racing back to the line, and they're still side by side. Just a couple guys in the back got involved here. Donnie Garrett wants this race back to the line to be won by the 77. Gonna get some help there from Navsker. A huge run through the tri-oval, and it does appear that Donnie Garrett will win the race back. He will. So he will have lane choice on this restart. Bob Seminaire will be in 2nd. Gonna be a very interesting restart here. It will be the last one of the night, no doubt about it. Once we get to the restart, we're gonna be at the point of no return. So it's going to be all or nothing right here. That will help ensure these guys will be good on fuel to the end. So that's a good sign. We could just have a good race. And you got to think, too, you also have Bob, or should I say Tim Nofsker in the mix here as well. He doesn't need to win, but he's going to be going for those extra bonus points. And it's going to be interesting to see if he can pull it off. But imagine these guys are going to be staying out here, so we're going to go ahead and see what happened quickly to bring out this caution. Perry Bond, again, obviously we saw him have his issue under the 3rd caution. This is the 4th caution of the night here at Talladega.
Honestly, it looks like it was for a blown engine.
It might have been Mike Rogers, 57. And he was already off the pace here. By quite a bit, actually. And you're going to see it right here. Number 11, this is on lap 57 of 66. Might have been the next lap, actually. So we'll go to the next... Oh, no! Right when I changed the screen. There's where it's at. Lap 57, and number 11... blew an engine. I'm having a feeling this may have been an admin caution. I don't think it initially came out. But 011 there. Fortunately, his day is going to be done in that Chevrolet. And that's going to give us a great finish in this race, I think. I mean, we would have had a great finish regardless, but now these guys have less laps to get to the finish, and that means it's going to be even more intense than ever in this race. Donnie Garrett, the race leader. If he wins, he's on to the next round. I obviously missed last week because he was on vacation. Kind of a disappointing way to lose your spot in the chase. You're just on vacation, you're having fun, and you missed out. Well, he doesn't want to miss out. He's going to go all out for this race win here at Talladega. We're going to have to see what he can do. That number 11 machine. All bets are off at this point. Who is going to get this one done here at Talladega?
Honestly, I think Donnie Garrett's really in the best position here. As long as he can just hold it up front, I think there'll probably be about 4 laps to go here. I mean, as long as he can just protect, I'm thinking the bottom here, because honestly, I don't foresee people wanting to try the high side, and the bottom's usually a sure bet. So, just unsure here at the moment.
Bob Seminara's been strong. I think Tim Nosker's a guy to watch out for, though. I mean, he finally beat Grant Wesley in a race. And here's the thing. I don't think Nosker will do as hard of a job as he did last week, because I don't think he would want to wreck these guys, especially Donnie Garrett, who were going for the race win. He wouldn't want to get too aggressive and end their chances. David Lawson, he's got nothing to lose. Same with Wiley Cope. They round out the top 5. Joe DeSpirito will be 6th. John Godfrey's up to 7th. He was a lap down at one point in this race. Terry Bombard there. He's going to be in 8th. J.R. Deal. And then Josh Metallic. And this is where things get interesting, because if DeSpirito and Metallic swap positions, they're tied for the points. However, DeSpirito currently 8 points ahead of him in that chase format. But Metallic could find a way around him in these final few laps, and that could really make things interesting if Donnie Garrett wins the race. Bernie Mobbs is going to have a shot at restarting on the inside lane and moving his way through the field as well. You got to watch out for him. And then you got to worry about Mark Paglia, who was 10 points ahead of the cutoff coming in. He's been mired in the middle of the pack all day, and he's going to have a shot here. It's between those 5 guys, realistically, those bottom 5 guys. Bob Seminara, I think, is far enough ahead where it shouldn't be an issue. Now, if we have a wreck, he gets wrecked out, then it's a different story, and he could end up finding himself on the losing end of that stick. But then Mark Paglia, he's in the middle of the pack, 10 points ahead of the cutoff coming into this race. Joe DeSpirito was 3 points ahead of the cutoff coming into this race. Bernie Mobbs was the cutoff, and then Metallic was 1 point behind. Donnie Garrett was 12 points behind the cutoff. For Metallic, or should I say, for Garrett, if he wins the race, he's automatically in. That goes for Metallic or Mobbs or DeSpirito. Thing is, with those other guys, they can make it in on points. Garrett, even if he wins the race, gets the points for the win. If he didn't get the bonus points for the win, the 3 bonus points for winning the race, I don't know if he'd be able to make it. Let's say he finished 2nd, and all those guys kind of finished in their respective positions. Garrett would not have enough points, so he's got to win this race.
If I'm Donnie, I'd want that pace car to stay out here about another 5 laps and just find some reason for it to stay out on the track so we can go ahead and finish this race and he can collect this win.
Well, the lights are still on, so we're going to at least have one more lap after this one. And imagine the lights are going to go out here, and it'll be next time by we'll get the green flag. Not this time, but next time around on lap 62, coming to lap 63 when we'll get the restart. So if that's the case, it's going to leave us a 4-lap shootout for the race victory here in the 12th race of the season. Donnie Garrett, Bob Seminara on the front row. Tim Knopfler going for another win here in the chase. David Lawson, highest non-chaser in the field. Same with Wiley Cope there. He is second highest non-chaser in the field. Joe DeSpirito, John Godfrey, Terry Bombard, J.R. Deal, and Josh Metallic. The guys to watch out for: DeSpirito, Metallic, Mobbs, and Paglia. They're all right around each other here. And if Garrett wins this race, it'll be 2 of those guys, most likely, who fail to make it on. If Seminara gets involved in an accident, then we could have a different situation. But if Seminara's involved in an accident, and odds are a lot of these guys back in here might be involved in that same accident. So many scenarios here in these final 4 laps. Donnie Garrett's going to take the outside lane.
I don't know about that.
And I agree with you here. You have Tim Nosker there. I would imagine Nosker is going to be the kind of guy who's going to be pushing on this restart. David Lawson...
Nosker's been shot out of a cannon every last one of the restarts. I mean, I just don't... I don't know.
Yeah. We know that Nosker is good enough to win this race, and heck, even Lawson's probably good enough to win this race, but we haven't seen that out of him yet this season. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think maybe what he's hoping to do is to clear Seminara and Nosker. He doesn't want Seminara on that outside lane getting a run. He wants to take that outside lane for himself and then clear down on the inside.
Unless he has a deal with Seminara. I don't know about that.
Just going to have to see. Donnie Garrett, Bob Seminara, Tim Nosker, David Lawson, Wiley Coach, Joe DeSpirito, John Godfrey, Terry Bombard, J.R. Gill, Josh Metallic, Jeff Gravello in 11, Dante Risi, Bernie Mobs there in 13th alongside Mark Paglia, Richard Martin, Wayne Primnow, Grant Wesley, who was involved in an accident. That's why he's got the damage and why he's as far back as he is. Greg Lovell, Dave Little, Chris Elliott, Brian Lovell, Dave Melson, Cy Jones, Andrew Lemke, Bob Dixon, Jessica Shelton, Perry Bond, Michael Brown. A little bit of an opposite end of the spectrum for Michael Brown here, and this one was running up front a lot last week. Unfortunately, has not been the best of night's form in the number 20 machine. Here we go. It'll be the last restart of the night, so if we get a caution here, that's going to do it. And Donnie Garrett hopes it's a one-lap shootout. He's leading, and the rest of them wreck. We'll just have to see. Bob Seminara is in second. Donnie Garrett, the race leader. Let's see what he does on the restart. Here we go. Lap 62 of 66. Coming to lap 63, we're green flag racing for the final restart of the night. And Lawson not going anywhere. Garrett's not going to have any help in that outside lane. And here comes Bob Seminara to the inside for the race lead. Here comes the 080 of Tim Knopsker. He's going to push that 712. And Garrett, he may get the push from the 18 down the backstretch, and he finally will. But now Seminara's going to move up and block that run. But here comes the 77. Lawson is going to regain his momentum and push that 77 alongside Seminara. And it's a very similar situation to how it was before the caution came out. Still side by side. 3 laps to go at the line. Donnie Garrett, Bob Seminara. LB Garrett at the line. Seminara on that inside lane doesn't need to win. Garrett does. Will Lawson give enough of a push to the 77? Look at Josh Metallic. He's right behind Joe DeSpirito now. Metallic trying to push Bernie Mobs out. I don't think he's going to have enough to push Pagli out. And the way they're currently running, I do believe Metallic would still be eliminated. He needs to get around DeSpirito to have a chance and making it in. He's going to push Mobs out, but will it be enough? And he's got to hope for Seminara to win. If Seminara wins, he doesn't have to worry about it. But Garrett here in the 77, he's going to do all he can to work that outside lane. 2 laps to go here at Talladega. Bob Seminara, Donnie Garrett, side by side for the race lead. Tim Knopsker is right behind these guys. If something happens here, he might take a shot and possibly go for the win. But Seminara holding that inside lane strong. They're going to be side by side all the way through, I think. But we're just going to have to see how it all goes down. Dante Risi, Mark Paglia is going to try to work something on the outside lane. He wants to make sure he has enough points to make it in. I think the way they are currently running, he does. Metallic's not far enough ahead for him to surpass. That outside lane is coming, and Donnie Garrett had to go with them. And now Garrett has no help. DeSpirito there in the 24, somehow going to find his way to the middle lane and split Lawson and Garrett. Now you got Josh Metallic here on the outside lane, who's trying to get around DeSpirito. All that's going to do is help Bob Seminara, who's going to take the white flag here at Talladega in the 12th race of the Talladega Challenge in Rolling Thunder Gaming. 1 lap to go. Who is it going to be next time by? Tim Knopsker on an inside lane, and that third lane coming through really hurt Garrett, but will he have a push down the backstretch? Knopsker's going to go to the outside here, and Garrett might push Knopsker, trying to get him past Seminara. That's going to be the case. Knopsker going for 2 in a row, and Seminara has a big gap between him and Wiley Coate. Donnie Garrett in the 77. He's got to find a way around Knopsker. But Knopsker holding the outside lane. Garrett's going to try to shoot the middle, but there's no room to do it. He's going to look, but he could not make it work.
The outside.
Here we go. On the outside lane, David Lawson with a huge run in the 18 machine. And at the stripe, it's going to be Bob Seminara edging out Lawson at the line as a huge wreck occurs right after the finish. But Seminara held them off, and he's going to get the race victory here at Talladega. Oh my goodness, Lawson came with a run.
If it
That
only
came
would have
out
been a
of
few more
nowhere.
100 feet.
Bob Seminara, your winner here at Talladega. And I doubt that Garrett's going to have enough. He finished 6th. Such a heartbreaker there for Donnie Garrett. Hopefully it was a good vacation, though, at least. We can at least hope that. I'm sure it was. Bob Seminara holds off, and just like last week, dead even at the line. But Seminara just barely had it on David Lawson. That's 2 weeks in a row we've had an excellent finish here. Oh, brother. Bob Seminara, your race winner here at Talladega in race 12 of the RTG Talladega Challenge. He's on to the next round of the chase. And I do believe we're going to have to look at the finishing results here to give you an idea on who's not going to be making it on. And obviously, too, that is accounting for penalties that may occur in races, so it is unofficial. Just giving you unofficial results here, but burning it down. Bob Seminara, your race winner here at Talladega. Let's go ahead and just replay that finish one more time.
I mean, he just came out of nowhere.
That definitely deserves a replay. We're going to follow with David Lawson here, who came so close to getting it. That would have been something if he pulled it off. We're going to start here.
I mean, you know who was really hoping for that one to pull off? It was Josh Metallic. Metallic was right on him, like, please, please let me finish ahead of him.
Wow. We're going to go off of turn number 2. This is the number 18, David Lawson. And Garrett and Despirito are up there. They're trying to get that push with Novsker. Lawson goes up. He sees that third lane. He's like, I'm going to take this. And Metallic was probably hoping he didn't do that, but that might have actually helped the third lane move so well. This middle lane, Garrett's trying to find a hole around Novsker. You see him right there, peek to the inside. He tried it, but he just couldn't do it. And Lawson here, these guys are all formed up in a line because Novsker and Garrett, they keep on racing each other. Seminara just held his line the whole time, and he was 9th the last time around. He ended up finishing in the 2nd position. And I don't think the wreck occurred till past the line. I don't think the wreck affected the finishing order. May have by a couple of positions between a couple of guys mid-pack. But, wow. Bob Seminara gets it done. How about that? And we will we'll see here. Official finish last week was 4 1,000ths of a second. This week it was 12 1,000. So it wasn't as close as I thought it was there. Josh Metallic finished in 4th. And he finished 4 positions ahead of Despirito. But that doesn't mean anything. I just forgot. Because Donnie Garrett didn't win this race. So both Despirito and Metallic will most likely make it in. And it'll be Donnie Garrett and most likely Bernie Mobbs who failed to make it on to the next round. Bernie Mobbs had a tough run last week and had another tough run this week. And trying to see here. Mark Paglia had a tough run as well, but he had enough points going in. I think that's going to help him out. And obviously, Donnie Garrett he had to win this race to have a chance. And unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. The top 3, Bob Seminara, David Lawson, and Tim Novsker. Josh Metallic in 4th, Wiley Coate in 5th. Then it was Donnie Garrett, Dante Risi, Joe Despirito, John Godfrey, a top 10 for the 7-11 machine. And then Terry Bombard in 10th. David Little, Jeff Crivello, Ernie Mobbs, Wayne Pribnow, Richard Martin, Mark Paglia, Grant Wesley, Cy Jones, J.R. Deal, Dave Melson, Greg Lovell,
so the
Brian
standings
Lovell,
looks like they
Andrew
just got
Lemke,
updated.
Chris Elliott, Michael Brown, Bob Dixon, Jessica Shelton, Perry Bond, Mike Rogers, Corey Deal, and Glenn Harris. The bottom 3 there all failed to finish the official results here from Talladega.
Standings, it looks like Bernie Mobbs and Donnie Garrett are out by about 5 points.
Yeah, it's such a tough week for those guys right there. And I hate it for Donnie because he was right there at the end, had such a good shot at winning that race. But then those guys had that third line coming, and he moved up to block it. And I think he would have actually kept a good line if he just stayed in the middle lane. But then again, the middle lane was losing some ground. So definitely a very unique situation, a very unique race there at the end. We'll get some of these guys in here in a moment. Bob Seminara getting the race victory by 12 1,000ths of a second. So that was actually still 3 times as much as last week somehow, but still a wild finish as David Lawson was coming on that outside lane and almost got the non-chasers a victory here, but just couldn't quite get it there as Seminara had the run. But Bob Seminara, the race winner here at Talladega. And so many things were going on. You restarted on the inside lane, but you held your ground and you got the race victory. But what were you thinking? Did you see that 18 of David Lawson coming on your outside?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I saw him. That was real close. I was surprised that I was restarting on the bottom there. Donnie took the top. So, but yeah, that was pretty wild. Good finish.
Definitely was 12 1,000ths of a second at the line, and obviously you're on to the next round of the chase with that race victory, but you moved your way up through the race the whole way through, and once you got to the lead, you pretty much stayed there. Obviously you had that battle with Donnie Garrett there, but you held the inside lane, and it worked for you at the end. But what was your whole perspective of all that went on in this race here in race number 12 of the season?
Well, I got caught up in that big one last week, so I knew I needed a good finish, so I tried to stay out of trouble, work my way up there, and I knew Donnie needed to win. But I gave him the room and raced him clean, and let it shake out.
Yeah, but still, great run for you guys either way, and definitely put on a great show as always. Love calling these races, and you guys did not disappoint again. Congratulations on your race victory here at Talladega, just ahead of David Lawson here for the 12th race of the season.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very excited. That was good.
You got David Lawson now here as well, and I'm definitely looking forward to see what you have to say here. You were 9th at the white flag. You finished 2nd. You saw that outside lane coming. You moved up there, and you almost had him, but what were you thinking when you saw Josh Metallic there in that outside lane coming towards you? Did you think, am I going to go ahead and make the move, try to get the race victory? I mean, obviously you did, but what was going through your head in that moment on that last lap?
My initial reaction was to get up there and help Josh pull forward and try to get him further up into the points for the chase. And when we come out of turn 4 and I seen Donnie and Tim in the middle lane, I was like, I got a chance to win this. And I started to go low to try to get a little, push them down a little bit to limit their speed off the turn. And I didn't get down there enough. And then Josh hit me again and crossed that finish line 2nd. But it was super close race. And that's how you want to see these things in, is under green with the blanket over the top 3 to 5 cars to make it really fun and interesting.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row you guys have done that, but non-chaser almost won. That would have been pretty cool to see you get the race victory. 12 1,000ths of a second off, but still a great race. What's your whole perspective on that race? You were running up front a lot here tonight, and you got to see a lot of the things that went on up front, but how was the racing knowing that this was an elimination race?
It was fairly racy. Usually the last race of the season is the best, but when we get to the chase, these guys know what's on the line to get to the next round and get to that championship. Everything ratchets up a couple notches, and you guys have done a lot of races for us this season, and you've seen how chaotic it has been. But tonight was it's great, and it's just going to keep going up and up and up until we get to that last race of August.
We're definitely looking forward to seeing these next races, and pretty sure they're all going to be here on the Flatout Racing Network. So don't go anywhere. Got a lot of cool stuff coming up here. This series is going to definitely get interesting in the last 3 races. But either way, congratulations on your great one, David, and good luck next week. You definitely pull out a race victory here in these last 3 races, no doubt about it.
I'm hoping so. I want to get one for the season's over so I can get to that All-Star race next year.
Well, congratulations on your great one, and thank you for putting on such a good show here tonight at the Talladega Super Speedway.
Thanks, and thanks for showing up and doing it for us. We really appreciate it.
And then the last guy finishing 3rd. And last week when I was interviewing you, you were in victory lane. And I think it still feels like a victory for you here tonight, considering you got involved in an accident. You worked your way back up through the field there, and you almost got the race victory. But what was your whole perspective of that last lap there? Everything was going all over the place there in the end.
Well, earlier I felt like a pinball, and luckily enough, I didn't get too much damage and was still speedy at the end. And I thought I had a race-winning move when I got by the 712 there. That high line kind of killed our momentum, but if the last 2 finishes are indicative of what's to come, you better pull them belts tight. It was a hell of a race.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You can say that again, and last week was as well, of course, but still, 1st and a 3rd in these first 2 races of the chase. Of course, the points reset with bonus points. I do believe so. Obviously, the win last week will help you out in that regard. But obviously, that momentum's going to help you out. I mean, you were racing very aggressive in this race. Obviously, you didn't necessarily need to, but I'm sure you wanted to keep the momentum heading into the next round of the chase.
Yeah, I think I'm peaking at the right time. I had some bad luck earlier in the season, and now things are starting to come together. I was kind of surprised. I kind of mentally prepared myself to push my buddy Donnie there. We kind of have a love-hate brother type of relationship. But I figured he was going to take the low line on the restart, and I was just going to push him around. And he tricked me and took the high line. So I figured, well, I guess the 712 was my next target, and we pushed him around to the last lap and tried to make a last-ditch effort there. Just fell short.
Either way, a super run here tonight at Talladega, all things considered, especially when you were involved in the accident. And I think you got a lot of momentum heading in to the next round of the chase. But either way, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for putting on such a great show here tonight. And look forward to seeing you next week in the third race of the chase, first race of round number 2.
Yeah. I just want to give you guys a shout out. Give Terry Prime and Bones a shout out for Rolling Thunder Gaming. If you like what you see on these broadcasts, come and see us, and we've got a spot for you. And another quick shout out to my daughter and her husband and family. Again, they were watching. She texted me a little disappointed I couldn't pull off the back-to-back, but I just love the fact that she takes the time to watch her old fart pops race around here. So.
I'm sure she's really proud of you, and hopefully she didn't mind the technical difficulties we had at the beginning of the race. Unfortunately, it was a little bit rough there, but we figured it out, and we got that finished. We got most of the race in, so hopefully she enjoyed it. Hope you all enjoyed here from Talladega. But either way, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on your great run, and good luck on the rest of the season. Only 3 races left. I think you might be the favorite.
Well, thank you. I don't know about the favorite. I don't have a lot of teammates out there. I got guys I like to work with, but we'll see how she goes from here on out.
All right, Tim Nosker finishing third here from Talladega. And one more time, the top 3, Bob Seminara, 12 1,000ths of a second ahead of David Lawson, and then Tim Nosker in third. But either way, Matt, obviously we had our technical difficulties. We apologize for that once more. But that aside, it was an excellent race, and it was your first time, I think, maybe calling the Talladega Challenge. So what was your whole perspective of all that you saw here in this race, and how do you think it's going to go in these final 3 races?
I think this is my 3rd time calling this series, and
all right,
out of all of this, it's actually been really competitive. I know we've had some races where it's went caution free, and some races where we couldn't get more than 5 laps without getting a wreck, and you're just seeing the hard racing. I mean, everyone was always planning right until that last corner, and that's always what you want to see. You don't like to see these huge blowout wins, but you obviously don't want to see the huge wrecks fest. So seeing how that outside line just kind of formed in the back straightaway and just shot out of nowhere, I mean, that's kind of the racing that you want to see. And I'm sure it makes all the admins here happy as well.
It made me happy. I loved calling that race. That was fun there near the end. I didn't really like calling him when we had the technical difficulties, but once everything worked out, it was good. And what a night here from Talladega, and like I do believe we'll be back next week for the 3rd round. I'm pretty sure Seth said we have it all the way to the championship, so you'll probably hear me again next week. Hopefully you will. I hope to finish this whole season out for you guys, and I'm looking forward to see who gets this championship. This has been an excellent season so far, and we're going to have another great race next week. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Huge thanks to Matt, Rod, and Seth for letting me do this. Apparently I'm good enough to do this, and I appreciate that they let me do this. This is so much fun, and I really enjoy calling these online races for the Flatout Racing Network. And a huge thanks to the RTG guys as well, putting on such a great series as well. Tim mentioned all the guys who were involved with that, I believe, and a huge shout out to those guys as well for putting on such a great series. Like Tim said, if you like what you see, go ahead and check them out. And like Tim said, we got a spot for you. So either way, thank you so much for joining me, Matt. Thank you so much for helping me out as well with all the technical difficulties. And thank you for watching here tonight from Talladega in the 12th race of the Talladega Challenge in RTG. And next week, we'll have race 13, the first race in the 2nd round of the chase. Only 8 guys left. Only 4 of them make it onto the championship for 3 weeks from now. Thank you guys so much for watching. On behalf of Matthew Rodriguez, I'm Alexander Graham. We'll see you guys next week for the 13th race of the season. Bob Seminary, your race winner here tonight from Talladega. I will see you guys later.